Hello guys, welcome everyone. Good afternoon for my American viewers and good evening for my European viewers. I'm very excited for today because I have the amazing Jeff White with me today. Hello Jeff, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing great.
Nice, glad to hear it. Quickly want to point out to everyone in chat, I say this every time when we do these streams, everyone's mic is just a bit different, so it's possible I have to adjust a little bit. Let me know if I have to adjust the volume of myself or Jeff, and I can do it with just a couple of clicks, so just let me know. We have an exciting deck today. For people who are very known in the legacy scene, they definitely know Jeff, but they probably know you as Pokemoki, leader of the league race. Let me quickly check. How many trophies do you have right now, Jeff?
Right now
A
I'm sitting
million?
at 29.
29
Yeah,
trophies. Jesus,
and
that's
I'm
it's,
hoping to coast into the split is like another week or so long. I'm hoping
yeah.
to coast kind of into the end of it. I know some people play a ton during the last week, but
It's not even close
I'm
to
hoping to
second
not do
place. I
that.
mean, Arkan has
We'll see.
19.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's
Yeah, but a lot can change in a week, so
That's true, but I doubt 10 trophies. That's just not going to happen, I think, and that would mean that you will not get another trophy. So I think you're locked. That's amazing. That's just so much. And we are playing your namesake deck, Pokepile. Yeah, interesting stuff. Really interesting stuff. I'm going to be honest. I thought that Pokepile was dead after the bannings, but yeah, apparently it just keeps coming back. How do you feel, Jeff?
yeah, so definitely a lot has changed. We've changed some colors, and changed a bit of kind of how the game plan goes and how the deck tries to win. But, at its core, it's still, kind of mana denial in a mid-range deck. And so I feel it's close enough so that we can still consider this Pokepal. Plus,
Yeah.
it's my deck. I can call it what I want.
Yeah, sure. That's for sure. I was going to ask you later what you define as a Pokepile, and I think you said it already. It's mana denial and mid range. That's it probably. But there is some kind of a control-ish game plan in there as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You're definitely not trying to, come out the gate swinging and you're the one who's letting the opponent serve and then kind of trying to react to what they're doing.
Yeah, it's definitely not an aggro deck. I wouldn't call it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about the deck a bit more. But what do you think? Maybe you should just play a game, and then afterwards, after game one, we can talk about the deck more. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm
That sounds
afraid.
good to
I'm not
me.
gonna lie. I think this is a horrible matchup for me.
I'm afraid too. Infect is very tricky. They have a lot of very strong
That's for sure.
tools
That's
and can
for
win
sure.
fast. So
I'm not gonna go down without a fight. That's for sure. But when I look at this list, it's terrifying for me. But I'll see what I can do. I'll try my best. Right. Hardest part right here is challenging you with the correct deck. I always mess this up. I want to quickly inform everyone in chat that we do know each other's deck lists. We send them towards each other beforehand, so we have full information, and we will play as if we know what we are playing against. I forgot to ask you, Jeff, will you have the chat open, or do you prefer that I just ask you questions that chat asks?
from like Twitch, I'll try to look at chat.
Okay,
Every so often.
that's fine. Okay, interesting. I haven't played this version of Pokepile just yet, so yeah, let's see how
Yeah,
it goes.
I think I need to start making some content with it because
Yeah.
from what I've heard, like initial feedback is that people are saying it's a little bit difficult to play, and so I think that if I put out some stuff, kind of with me talking about, what I'm trying to do in certain matchups and like common sequencing patterns, that might kind of help people out.
That's
So I'm
always
sure this will help
interesting.
too. So
That's definitely interesting for sure. Do you feel like it is indeed true that is this a difficult deck to play, or do you feel like it's not more difficult than the previous versions of Pokepile?
um, it's that's a hard question to answer just uh, because you were playing so many powerful cards and like now banned cards like Arcanist and Oko, and so I'm certain that there's some amount of free wins you got from that. I think once you know like kind of like the game plan of this deck, it's not that difficult to play. So
Okay.
that's my take on it.
So it's not like it's more difficult, but it just requires some practice. It's different.
Yeah, I think it just requires practice for sure.
Okay. So my seven hander was a very easy mulligan because there were no lands, but this hand is fine. It's I know what I'm playing against, and I like this. What's going on? Gizlo is
my
already
hand
here.
might be a little bit slow, but it has powerful cards in the matchup, so I'm willing to.
My guess is that you're
keep
gonna
it.
say that every single game.
Yeah,
It's
I keep a lot of hands. Yeah,
it's a bit slow, but it has powerful cards. Let's see,
I had a
Gizlo
very
asked
early-
me right from the bat. He always asks me, and maybe you can ask it for them for yourself too, Jeff. But you're American, right?
Yes.
So maybe it's a bit early
I'm
for you. I
from
think it's 14:30.
2:30 in the afternoon.
2:30,
Yeah.
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 Gizlo always
14:30.
asks me what I'm drinking because you know this too. I like drinking beers during my stream. I'm drinking Chimay,
Yeah.
one of Belgium's classics. Quickly show it on here on the camera. Chimay. Definitely try it out if you like Belgian beers. Definitely a good one. But I don't know if you are having anything, Jeff. But it's unlikely if it's that early.
Yeah, I'm still too early for me.
Yeah, exactly. I thought so. But you never know. You never know. I'm not judging or anything. Right. So
No judgment, son.
exactly. Good turn one. Noble, always like it. It's always difficult for my opponents. So do they bolt the noble or not? I guess it depends.
Yeah, and in this case, because I know the matchup and that you have infect creatures, I generally try to save my removal, unless I'm like flush with removal in my hand.
Yeah.
Or I want to like try to do like a mana denial strategy of wastelanding you out.
I agree.
But obviously that's not the case here.
I think that's correct. I always like just firing this off. Let's see what happens.
That's a good one.
That's definitely a good one in the matchup. Because sometimes I can just do this as bait. Sometimes I don't need it, but I think you have to fight over it. Now the question is, do I want to fight back or not? Use the Force Will, so it's unlikely to have another one. Let's see, you exiled Uro. Okay, good to have that one gone. I think I want to fight here. My hand is good, but I can't cast this card just yet, so I think if I had a land to cast a ferry, I probably wouldn't fight back, but I think this is a good spot, because if I don't draw a land next turn, I'm going to feel silly if I didn't fight over this, because you're going to see that I'm going to miss a land.
Yeah, and from your end, I like that decision a lot, just because, you know, my deck doesn't pressure the life total very well, so I think that's pretty smart.
Exactly. I'm going to be very aggressive with the Sylvan Library. Probably going to take every single card that I find, regardless of what it is. I just want cards. Plague Engineer would be... That's always scary.
Yeah, I didn't do anything the first two turns, so it's usually a good indication of a 3-drop coming up. And obviously I'm a little bit lucky that you didn't have the days.
Exactly. Yikes. Okay, I'm just going to take them all. And my hand, I wish I could just show it to you. It's quite hilarious. I'm going to pass. I've got a question. Mr. Fat Pickle, lovely name. Does only one ponder make wasteland matchups harder, or is it insignificant? I play double Sylvan Library, so I think that as an Infect deck, you want to try and play at least 6 cantrips, and you can go up to 8. But I consider Sylvan Library a cantrip too. It's just an overpowered cantrip. So you can, I've seen other Infect builds do this. You can trim down all libraries and swap them for ponders. I think that's perfectly fine. But I don't feel that if I could choose between ponder or library, I would always like to have library. But that's just my opinion, I think. Hey, Peter John, welcome. And Gizlo says he loves the Plague Engineer in the main on your side. I can't say I love it, but...
Yeah, so I think that's one thing where you have like a deck building decision where you could just play like more Baleful Strixes and make room for like Plague Engineer on the sideboard. And I think if you're expecting like a lot of Delver and like maybe a lot of control, then that might be better, like a little bit better. But in general, I would just rather have like a Haymaker card in a wide variety of matchups and play like a Mopey card like Baleful Strix, which is like, it's always okay, but never better than that. So it's not for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so 3 cards left in Jeff's hand. Damn, you only played 2 in the main, right?
It's true. I do only have
Damn.
2. They were both in the opener.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, in Plague Engineer. So very, very lucky on my end.
Okay, so I have to do some. How can I win this? I mean, I doubt there's any way I can win. especially after the main, because you've shut down all my creatures and you have a wasteland for if I find Inkmoth Nexus.
Yeah, that was my thought too. Is like, what should I save the wasteland or use it? And with the engineers, you know, I think it's better to hold it for the Nexus.
Definitely, yeah. I think this is. I'm just gonna let's just draw. You know, never surrender till it's over. But I have no idea how I can come back from this.
Yeah, I think I got a little lucky there where I had the engineers and you didn't have the days for them. So
this is painful.
Even though you're drawing cards with library, it's not.
This is painful too. I found the Nexus. Okay, I'm just going to slam down my cards and just show you that my hand was pretty good, but
it was good, but yeah.
Yeah, I had, when you played the Plague Engineer, I had 3 Blighted Agents and 1 Noble.
Oh my god. That's
I was like, that's the card I really don't want to see. Yeah, this is why I was afraid of the matchup. Let's see what we're gonna do. Okay, so I'll discuss sideboarding first, and then if I have time, you can talk about it also. But otherwise, we can do it in the next game as well. We have a lot of time. So, what I've been doing recently is I've been playing Uros again. I like Uro, and I think the only way why we can play it is because we are a blue-green deck that always just plays 4 tropicals and then other ways to play green. So I think Infect is one of the only decks that's able to play Uro without having to adjust the deck, which is something that control decks, I believe, right now have to decide. Like, do you want to play Uro? Because then you have to find good green cards, or do you decide that it's not worth it and not play it? That's how it feels to me, at least, but I don't know how you feel about it.
Yeah, I definitely think that I like Astrolabe a lot, but one of the nice things about it being gone is that you do have like really strong pulls to each kind of like support color. But if you're already in green, Uro is definitely one of the best things to be doing.
Exactly. So yeah, sideboarding. I haven't played against this build all that often. I definitely want double Uro, double fail, because I think if I resolve an Uro, it's actually difficult for you to deal with it.
Very true.
So that's why I like it. It's good against sometimes control decks and against Delver. That's why I'm playing it again. But what do I cut? I think you don't play that much removal that I can't deal with. It's Fatal Push, Abrupt Decay, and then probably gonna be like you have like 1 Heartless Act. That's I think it. Maybe I'm missing something, but I think that's
it.
Yeah. The most afraid is for me. What I'm most afraid of is Plague Engineer for sure. I think I don't want to go too much all in here, so I'm going to trim 1 Berserk. I'm on the play, so I'm going to trim. What else am I going to do? I think I'm going to cut both Berserks. Don't like playing as a combo deck all that much. And games tend to go longer, so I like trimming down on daisies. I'm just going to go trim 2 Berserk, 2 days for double Uro, double Veil of Summer, and that's it. I'm not convinced it's correct. But yeah, I haven't played this matchup yet, so I could see myself playing Swords, maybe Flusterstorm, but I'm going to start it with this.
Yeah, I think this is definitely close to, very close to bug control, like more traditional lists. So it sounds, I imagine you sideboard similarly. I think from my end, the main thing that I'm doing is just like trimming on force effects, just because I feel I have enough interaction for what, you're trying to do that I don't want to do for one myself too often.
Probably force negation first.
Yeah, definitely force negation first, because I think if you can get rid of all the creatures, that's really nice in the sense that it leaves you with spells in your hand that you can't convert into effects on the game.
For sure. Things I would see you bring in is, my guess is Liliana the Last Hope for sure. That's an easy one to bring in. Murderous Cut, I believe, because it's removal, and then maybe Engineered Explosive, and I don't know if you think it's worth it, but Carpet of Flowers. Some people bring it in, some people don't.
I have always liked Carpet of Flowers versus like any deck with islands, especially ones where you want to hold up mana for interaction. Like, I think Carpet is especially good there because it's just like you get to play out the thing you wanted to play on your main phase, and then you still have the mana for push and decay later on. So any blue will do in my book for if you're deciding to bring in.
I think it's one of those interesting cards to me, because sometimes Carpet of Flowers is a very good card, but if I always advise my opponents when they ask me how I feel about Carpet is, if you have it, I actually advise you to not play it turn 1 against Infect, which may be weird, but if I know about Carpenter Flowers, I can very well play around it. I just start, like, for example, Savannah into Noble, and if I then follow up with like an Inkmoth Nexus, it's possible that I just don't play a single island the entire game. I've won so many games on that end. So if I don't know about it, then if I have one Tropical already, then maybe it's not worth it playing around it all that often. I'm not sure. Maybe it's still worth it. That's just how it feels to me. But you maybe you can elaborate a bit.
No, I agree with what you're saying there. Where that is one of the nice advantages of Infect. Is that you do have some non-islands, and you can, especially with Noble for blue mana, you can kind of run your whole game plan off of that. So
yeah,
I agree with you.
I agree. Let's look at my hand. It's pretty bad, honestly. I have 4 lands, Invigorate, Noble Days. If there was like Sylvan Library in here, that would be good, but I don't think I can keep this. I'm gonna mulligan.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this. It's I'm not gonna say it again, but I have lands and spells and some interactions.
I said this already. You would say this every single game. my hand's not pretty fast, but I have a lot of good cards in hand.
Yeah. One of my early imprinting moments as a Magic player. So my first set was Khans of Tarakir, and this is back when MTG Goldfish was doing like the win percentages for limited play. Before Wizards told them to stop doing that. And like one of the articles they did like had like the win rates based on like if you multi 6 play versus draw, multi 5, and I was like, oh my god, like you lose like so much win percentage whenever you mulligan. If I just don't mulligan, I'll be in so much better shape.
Always try avoiding to mulligan. That's definitely true. Let's quickly watch the chat, guys. Remember, if you have any questions for me or for Jeff, feel free to ask them. We are more than happy to answer any questions for you. Let's see, King, can you have a question? I think that's for me. I see you bought out Days even if you're on the play instead of Force. Is that something that's good to do if you think the game would go long? Yeah, I think you really said it there. It depends on the matchup. The rule of thumb is always, in fact, that's maybe not true rule of thumb, but against control decks generally, I don't like Days all that often because games do tend to go long and people can play around it. I don't advise boarding all Dazes out. But I like going down to 2 or 1 because that makes it so your opponent can't really not respect Days, but if they start playing around it, you only play 1 or 2, so it's still worth it, if that makes any sense. That's why I like trimming down on them, but I would never cut all of them, except if you're playing like Blue-White Miracles, where they just don't play anything for the first 2 to 3 turns, and I really don't like it, but that's what I usually like to do. This is difficult. I kind of want to keep all my cards.
And just real quick, I definitely agree with that logic, and from like the control player side of you, if the opponent is cutting all of their Dazes, it makes the game a lot easier to play. But if you still have to play around it, exactly like what you said, sometimes you get kind of value out of Daze even if you don't have it in your hand, is your opponent is still trying to play around it.
Exactly.
That's part of why you don't need the full force sometimes, because you're still getting the value off of it. Exactly.
I just put that card on the bottom. I think I'm gonna just play this one and pass. Hey Johan, glad to have you here. You have a question, my man Jeff. Johan asks you, where does the name Pokepile come from?
Well, it just comes from my moniker Pokemoki, and then it actually wasn't originally my name, just because I do brew like a good amount. But the community started saying like, oh, this is we could call this Pokepile because it rhymes and or not rhymes, but it alliterates, and then
it sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good. It has a nice ring to it. And then my name came from one of the first competitive games I played was competitive Pokemon battling. So I just picked a name that sounded like Pokemon. And
so you played the Pokemon card game as well competitively?
Yeah, this was actually the video games.
Okay, so not the card game.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, I did have the cards growing up as a kid. I got into Pokemon instead of
Magic. Didn't we all? I had them. I never played the game because I didn't understand it, but I had the cards.
Yeah, I think I think part of it is because in the TV series, like the whole point was to like collect all the Pokemon. So I think kids just liked collecting it for that reason.
Exactly.
At least that's my suspicion.
I was so young when I started collecting the Pokemon cards, and I think at a certain point, and I'm sure many people can relate. My mother, when I started growing up, she was like, "What's this? This is a bag of rubbish. I'm just gonna get rid of it." And she threw all the Pokemon cards away, and I didn't even mind. I mean, I didn't play them anymore. But if I look back at it now, I haven't done this in the latest years, but I think she threw away so much money without her realizing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my collection was intact, but I didn't really have anything too valuable in it.
Okay, I'm just gonna say that was the same for me, so I don't feel as bad. I had old cards,
Nice,
but they
nice.
were all they were worth nothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so good start here for me. Office Sylvan Library. Huh. This is an interesting library. I think I'm just gonna take them all.
I like that.
Yeah, I
No
just
fear.
want to be aggressive. Let's see, brainstorm first.
And so this is one of the downsides of trimming on force walls, is that library is more likely to resolve. But at the same time, like, you know, say you 2-for-1 yourself to counter library, like they've still got an advantage off of playing the card, so it's not like, you know, that big a difference, I guess.
I agree.
So
So
I
not
think it's
the
worth it.
best- Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just saying, I think it's worth it to still trim on the force walls.
Yeah, I still need to have Sylvan Library. I don't play too many of them. So not the best library triggers, but I am able to just play lands without giving you the advantage of carpet. So that's it's something.
Yeah, for sure. Trimming or guiding carpet to you know, not be so
Broken.
huge.
Busted.
Yeah, exactly. You get it.
This is the matchup I was waiting for. Why, Violin? Why? Because Pokepile, this version hasn't been... it's very recent. Let me just put it like that. Okay, I thought you had Plague Engineer again.
No.
Not this time.
Just this card, you know. Which is still good. It's still good in the matchup. Although it's definitely
still-
worse with the library going.
It's definitely good. What do I want to do? Do I want to... This is an interesting one for me because the +1, I have more cards than Jeff, so I don't really care.
Yeah.
-2, sure, I don't have any creatures, at least not when Jeff's able to get rid of them, so do I want to fight over this? I don't think so. I'm just going to let it resolve. Let's get rid of...
Actually, for me, what to discard is also kind of difficult. I'll get rid of this. Yeah.
Violence says, because of the pilot skill factor. Jeff's going to destroy me, I can guarantee you that.
Well, I don't know about. I don't feel in good shape, but maybe that's revealing too much about my hand. But who knows? Yeah,
So I
I
discarded
like
Daze.
discarding the days with the carpet and,
Yeah.
and 3 mana. I think that's reasonable.
You were already playing around it pretty well, so...
I'm trying.
So I'm just gonna keep one okay, this is what I wanted to find. I wanted to find a land. I think it's a very good spot here to try and resolve this bad boy. That's gonna be pretty good if this one resolves.
Oh yeah, that's really good here. For sure.
Also,
Especially because the ink moths, you know, they don't, you know, I can't edict them on my turn, so
Exactly.
obviously very strong.
and I have an interesting choice. Do I want to bounce carpet? Is it worth it? If I bounce, you can just play it again. I do draw, but I mean, you only get 1 mana anyway. So do I? I don't think I care about carpet all that much, honestly. But if you have Abrupt Decay, then I do want to be able. I want to be able to draw at least 1.
Yeah, that's always the squeeze with the Teferi against the
Exactly.
bug decks.
I think what I'm gonna do. I think I do want to bounce because you do have to spend the mana.
It's true.
Something.
Yeah.
So I think I like doing this. Funny draw here.
Yeah, it's never that bad. I feel to just choose to draw your card, at least in my view. So
Because even if you have Abrupt Decay, now you have to choose between replaying the carpet or using the Abrupt Decay.
exactly. Yeah.
So what do I want to get rid of?
I know what I'm getting rid of. It's pretty clear for me.
Carpet of Flowers.
No. That one's good. That one's good.
I don't like this all that much, but it's fine. I could also get rid of this or this. I'm trying to speak in this and that terms because I don't want you to like.
Of course, yeah, you don't want to reveal too much. Your hand, so I agree.
If this one dies, I want to have that one. So maybe I should get rid of this one. I have that. So maybe this is fine too. It's not easy here. I think we can get rid of this one. This is going to be a bit weird, but I think I'm just going to get rid of this brainstorm.
Actually, that makes reasonable sense. Like, Sylvan Library is kind of like brainstorm each turn, so...
Yeah, exactly, because I already have library, so I just want to be able to play like that. Okay, carpet of flowers. Yep, sure. Quick question for you, Jeff. Why a sideboard of almost all one-ofs?
So I think there's a few different reasons. One is that you play the really powerful blue cantrips, so you get to kind of like smooth out your variance in that regard. And then I think the other big one is usually there's like sideboard cards that will do similar things but are better or worse in like certain matchups. So take like Null Rod for example. Versus, we'll say like Ancient Grudge, which you don't play Ancient Grudge in this deck, there's no red, obviously, but they're two cards that are very good against artifacts, but, Null Rod is going to be really good against like Urza Stompy, but not very good against like Mono Red Prison because, Null Rod against Chalice of the Void isn't great. If you play like one of each, then, you have cards that are good in either matchup, and it's not like Ancient Grudge is that much worse against Urza Stompy than Null Rod is, so it's kind of like a variance smoothing type thing where it's like I can't predict the metagame, so I'm going to, choose cards that do similar things but kind of smooth out my variance as far as, playing against other decks is concerned.
Makes sense. I've played 15 different cards in a sideboard in the past. I love doing this. I have. I paused quickly here because I have an interesting choice to make. And this may seem a bit weird, but I love doing this. I'm going to daze this Uro. And this is for many reasons. Let me explain why first. First of all, Jeff has to decide now between paying for it or not. If he doesn't pay, which he doesn't, that means that he values Wasteland very highly. If he does this, then of course I am able to daze with Jeff still having mana. And I'm also able to daze here, picking up my island, so Carpet of Flowers doesn't work anymore. So I love this play. And if Jeff decided that he wanted to play, that's like, okay, if I have it, I can just kill you straight away. So it puts Jeff in a difficult spot. So how do you feel about that play, Jeff?
Yeah, I like it a lot. The Wasteland's very valuable here. Obviously, I can't do anything on the stack with Teferi, so this is kind of my only protection right now against these Inkmoth Nexuses. And so, getting to trade your days for a card when I have, 4+ mana is really good.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly why I made that play. Let's see here. So I don't want this because Jeff has Liliana. So I'm just going to leave it at this. I want to try and prevent Jeff from having another colored mana so we can play Uro. So maybe plus here. Let's play the Nexus.
Oh my.
Yeah. I'm very afraid of Plague Engineer though.
That's fair, yeah. If I do find that, it'll be good for sure.
Okay, so I'm just going to slam in. I wonder if you decide to minus next turn to get rid of Noble.
It's close. It's really close just because she's so close to ultimate. But then again, Noble is very good.
Exactly.
I'll have to see what I draw.
Don't know what's the best.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to see what I draw. I could Wasteland to save 2 Infect damage, but I think leaving it open is better just so that you can't necessarily how do I put this? You can't like just use a pump spell whenever you feel like it. You kind of have to find the vines.
Exactly, and that's
you know what? I will use the carpet.
Go ahead. And Nady, we can discuss. You ask a very good question here. Nady asked me, wouldn't you have lethal by activating both Nexi? And that's what Jeff had just explained. I actually wouldn't, because if I try to go all in on a Nexus, Jeff can just wasteland that Nexus. You can still activate Wasteland, even though I have Teferi. Teferi only says that you can't cast spells, but you can still use abilities. Yeah. So I would really screw myself over by doing that. Looks like Uro can come down.
Yeah, I actually think it's just better to... I think it's just better to get my hand empty and then pressure the ultimate.
Yeah, because I have Teferi, so I would just... If I can go for it, I can just go for it. So I don't think it matters keeping cards in your hand, because I know I can just ignore them.
Exactly, yeah.
What do I get rid of?
Maybe I could put Uro into play to pressure Teferi, but I think Library is a little better. I could be wrong about that, for sure.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw away this card, honestly, because it doesn't look like I have anything to pressure my Teferi, so I don't think I need another one.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable. Oh, that's right. I have to use this twice. I have to say no twice because you have no islands in play.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see what I find. Sure, I'll take it. So I have a 4 of a kind.
Oh my.
So let's animate one of them. Animate another one. And now get to attack. What I like doing is attacking Liana with one of them, attacking you with another one. So you can't ultimate.
It's true. Well, I have potential where I could wasteland the one attacking Lily.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Yeah, but I would lose to double invigorate. I do know there's still the Trop in hand, so it would have to be the last 2 cards to invigorate.
That's true.
So it's kind of like, how behind do I feel right now?
Yeah, that's true.
I feel pretty behind. I'm gonna be frightened.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I feel pretty ahead. So
yeah. All right, so I think I'm gonna take a risk, and you know, if it is the double invigorate.
So you really want the ultimate? Okay, nice.
Yeah, I want to go for the ultimate. I think that's reasonable.
Yeah, gotcha.
Unfortunate.
Yeah. I didn't even discuss this because I was like, yeah, this is why I divided the attacks, and maybe I should have explained this a bit more precisely. I do this also specifically to make you make the decision, but in my head it was already like, that's not going to happen. So, but I don't think it's wrong. I think what you said was correct, of course, yeah. But I can see why you would do this, and I'm not saying it's incorrect. But
yeah, it's very close because, you know, like we've talked about, the wasteland is important. But so is the Lily ultimate in my point of view.
Exactly. Okay, let's see. Do I want to change anything? I think my sideboarding was fairly correct, but if I'm on a draw, I hate days even more. So I'm definitely going to trim down to a maximum of 1 on the draw. But what do I value the highest?
Yeah, it's difficult, right? To figure out what's good, what's bad.
Exactly. You don't play that many creatures, so I don't really want swords. I would only want it for Plague Engineer.
Yeah, the difficult part with that is that, you know, like once you
damage already done.
Yeah, it's already gotten some value usually, unless you named like the Ink Moth Nexus.
If you're not sure what to bring in, I always like a Surgical Extraction against a control deck. It's hilarious because I can hit like so many cards. I can hit Uro sometimes.
It's always reasonable to hit Uro.
Yeah, exactly. If I want to see if the coast is clear, I can just hit Surgical to check. It's never bad. It's never a bad card, but is it worth it? I can also play Flusterstorm. Maybe 1 Berserk is fine too, but I don't really like that against this deck.
Yeah, to go a little bit off topic, I don't know if you saw that new spoiled card from Strixhaven, but it's the the 1 and a blue, and you counter an instant or sorcery, and then you have the surgical extraction effect.
Yeah, I did see it. That was interesting.
Yeah, I think the card is reasonable. Like, part of it is just the information of seeing their hand is so valuable in Legacy. Like,
yeah,
there's so many different things to play around that I think that card is could see play. For sure.
Yeah, but I wonder what decks want it. I think that I've considered this as well, and I think I really want to play one in a sideboard as I'm going to try it out. I'm not sure if I want to keep it because it does cost 2, so that's a lot for Infect.
Yeah.
But against
two
certain
is
decks,
rough for Infect. Yeah.
Against certain decks, they don't play that much removal. If I can have it against a Miracles deck where they main removal is 4 swords, and I can get rid of that one, that could be a great payoff. So I'm not sure, but if I'm not sure, I want to try the cards out and see how they work. So yeah, I'll get back to that one. But I think control decks will probably value this higher.
Yeah, I think it has the most, playing control, but I agree where it's like it's worth testing in some other strategies, like you said, especially removing swords out of like the Miracles decks.
Exactly. I did see one card that I will not see play, but I will try one of in the Infect deck. I don't even know the name. How do I find this? So Strixhaven and then spoilers. It's a 2/3 white flying bird. And
oh my,
yeah, and it costs 3, and it says for 0 you can cast.
Oh,
do you know the one?
Yes.
I'm gonna see
if
if I can...
cards, but you have to target your guys with them, or it's some obscene amount of mana.
Exactly, and I was like, wow, this is almost made for Infect.
It really is, like, geez them.
Unfortunately, you can only do this once each turn. Otherwise, it would be insane. Yeah. But
it's one each turn, you said, right?
Sorry?
That's still not bad though, because like on your opponent's turn, you can like have binds up, from your graveyard.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not bad at all.
I have it here. I'm gonna quickly show it on the screen. So it's this one. Let me show it to you guys. Mavinda, Student's Advocate. It has 2/3 flying, and then 0. You may cast target instant or sorcery from the grave. If that spell doesn't target a creature you control, you must pay 8 more. So you'd only ever play this in a deck that targets itself, which is Infect. And I did some calculations, and it's a 2/3, which means if you have Invigorate Berserk in your hand, that's lethal, because you make it 6, 12, 24.
That's right. Oh my god.
So
that's so cool.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna try it out. I'm not sure if it's good enough, but I mean, I like trying out new stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be hilarious. It's a 2/3, and it's a bird, so it dodges Plague Engineer too. So I can see some cute things going on here.
Some application, yeah. And something like that works better, I feel, in a deck with lots of threats where, if you were trying to play something like that in control, even if you had a way to get value off of it, it would always just die because you don't have other creatures that the opponent needs to remove. But in your deck, you have so many creatures that need to get removed that, this is more likely to be able to survive. Exactly. Or if it dies, it's not as bad.
And it's not like it's a dangerous creature. So I wonder, if I would play this on turn 2 from a noble, would you actually even consider destroying this? I don't see many people doing this, but you kind of have to because the effect is so strong. So I don't know. I can see this like randomly being good, and your opponents, but the first time they see it, they probably think like, what the hell is this card? It's going to be so bad. And then maybe it can do some pretty funny things. I'm not sure, but maybe I just really want it to be good. But I don't know.
No, I see exactly what you're saying. Don't worry.
So I like the Spell Pierce here because I haven't seen Jeff play a land, so okay, what's land?
Yeah, and I like the Spell Pierce from your end. I think from the control end, the best way to play around that is to, make sure to sandbag your land when you do have it. Because if I was always the type of person who would always play my land if I had it, then you could Spell Pierce very easily. But if you know that sometimes Jeff will sandbag his land, it's not as clear that you should Spell Pierce it or not. That being said, in this case, I did not have the other land.
Spell Pierce was good, but then again, your Wasteland was pretty good too because I am missing colored mana now.
Yeah. So we're both struggling here.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, never mind.
Uh-oh.
Lucky me.
Uh-oh.
I'm just gonna slam in everything. Wow, sorry guys, I've been ignoring chat for a moment. Let's take a pause to watch
Sure,
chat.
yeah, let's pause.
Grizzly, I've honestly been interested as it for my sideboard in Pile. Oh, you mean the one blue card? Yeah, I can imagine. That's a control deck, so. Marduk, if you want to post the link, I installed Moobot and have put it on so you can't post links anymore because I had some bots in the stream. But you probably just wanted to post a link to the card, but oh, there it is, Mavinda. Okay, hey Lynn Chalice, welcome. Let's see. Okay, I think we've covered the most of this. So I was going to attack. It's unlikely that you use Wasteland here.
I mean, from my point of view, I don't dig it, but I understand. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
I respect it. Okay, so now I have a difficult decision. Again, I think I'm a little behind, and it sucks to take down the Wasteland, but I think the library helping me find another land drop is important.
This is a safe place for me to brainstorm dig for something to fight with a library because I know that you can't Wasteland away land. Okay, fortunately you can't fight over a Sylvan Library. And I didn't find a land, otherwise I could just kill you. That's unfortunate.
That's what they. I'm in a weird spot where it's just like, okay, if you counter the library, I'm in bad shape. If you don't, it means your hand is likely like full of.
Yeah, this was very risky on your end, but I think it was correct to do so. But
yeah,
it's fine. I don't find a land, but I do have noble, so that's good.
Yeah.
Slam in, and now if you want to play a really impactful card next turn, you probably have to tap out. So library isn't. I think it's going to be very threatening, not next turn, but the turn afterwards. Because you only have one colored mana too, so we'll see. Gizlo says, Mavinda makes Veil cost 8 green. Not Snakeskin Veil, that still costs just 1. Depending on which Veil you're talking about. Okay, ponder. Only keeping 1, that probably means that you really don't like the card. Otherwise, I think in this spot you would probably take everything.
Yeah, well, there's also hand size considerations. But yeah, I think you're largely correct.
So, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna go for it, or do I want to play it safe?
Now this is very interesting. Where it's like we both have 7 cards in hand. We both have mana up and/or interaction up. So
yeah,
this will be a cool turn.
It's the Wasteland. That's.
Yeah, the Wasteland kind of trumps everything, where it's just like you can't. You have the vines for that, but other than that, you can't really do much about it.
So let's think. What am I afraid of? The only thing I'm afraid of is Fatal Push with the Swamp. So that's the thing. So if I go for it with Nexus, for example, and if I use a bunch of pump spells, so if I use a pump spell on Nexus, I have to find a way to get rid of the Wasteland and a Fatal Push. Worst case scenario, of course, not keeping in mind that you could have 4 swords, etc. This is definitely the more safe play. You know me, I'm usually a safe player, so I'm gonna go for the safe play.
Well, that is pretty safe.
Exactly. Let's see if easy mode works.
How do I want? I think, given what's in my hand, I think I have to counter it. The force is 1 card in my hand that will be useless with the Teferi in play.
Okay. So. Otherwise, I've also bound Sylvan Library, and that will be.
That too, yeah. I kind of want that in play, knowing the top couple cards in my library.
Exactly. But that's fine for me because I know that I've gotten rid of 1 force at least.
Yeah. And then I actually think I want to do this because you haven't played a land, and I have the Wasteland for the Nexus.
No, makes sense.
So that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm going to pay for it again.
A lot of these games have been all about Wasteland or not.
Yeah. Wasteland is important in this matchup for sure. Okay, Blink Moth. So that's the one I'm gonna name.
Yeah, a lot of people still name the incorrect creature type.
Yeah.
It happens all that often.
And okay, so
Yeah, do you want to wasteland the tropical or
because
not, right?
yeah, so that's
Yeah.
close because
You get a question about this by Mr. Fat Pickle. Are you considering wasteland the trop, or is hitting Nexus too valuable?
no, so because the Plague Agent resolved, I am actually strongly considering hitting the Trop. So the punish would be if you draw a white mana, have a swords in hand, which I can't know if you've brought in or not, and then have a way to kill me with like pump spells, which it would only take. Well, it would take 2 invigorates, but that's not out of the question given that you have 6 cards. And I
could
think
have scale up or become immense too.
yeah, I think my position is good enough that I don't need to take the risk, so I'm not going to. I think if if you spend your whole turn like pondering, I can't really consider that a downside. This is obviously good, but I know my hand has ways to deal with this.
Yeah, I was thinking about. I'm just gonna play his agent and it's fine, but you probably have removal, especially with the library. You're gonna find it. So I have serious doubts that I'm gonna be able to untap with this agent. But since I didn't play a land, I just have to.
Yeah, I think you would have forced the Teferi through, is my thought process, so I'm fine tapping out for this instead of maybe using removal that is a little less counterable, we'll say.
Definitely. It's not looking good.
Or at least holds up more mana, yeah.
Yeah, let's just pass. I really want to find a land. And then I can try and come back from this. No guarantees by all means, but okay. Strix. Oh, okay.
And now I have the Strix as a blocker, so I feel better about this.
I just want to find the land, so I'm gonna cycle this Fatal Summer. I doubt you will fight over this.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, because I did cast a black spell this turn.
Okay, no land just yet.
Yeah.
And if I don't find a land here, it's probably gonna be time to concede. Oh, Relic, did you bring that in?
Because you have the arrows and like it cycles, has like a low or it has like a high floor. The worst comes to worst, it just cycles, and then if it ever deals with an arrow, like that's really good for me.
Makes sense. Yeah, I'm always surprised when people bring this in against me because I'm like, yeah, it doesn't do anything, but it does draw you a card, so I guess it just.
Good. It's not great, obviously, yeah, but.
If I had arrow, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, a floor of cycling on cards is, I think people undervalue that sometimes.
Yeah, I didn't find land, so.
Yeah, that was the big thing. Is not
I'll just.
the mana source.
I'll not concede just yet, but this game is over. What do I want to? No, does it even matter? Probably this one.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I got a little lucky this game where, I was at a point where I had to, play Sylvan Library, hope that it stuck, and then just like not die.
Yeah, the Wasteland on Tropical at the beginning, that was.
Yeah, Wasteland on Tropical, yeah, helped a lot too, obviously.
Okay, let's see. One more draw step. If I don't find land, then I will concede because this is just this is painful.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm gonna concede. My hand was pretty good, but it really needed more lands to function. I'm gonna show you. So I had a way. If I had found the land at a certain point, I would be able to protect my my threat from Liliana and have other ways to hope to untap. It wasn't guaranteed, but at least I had a small window where I could potentially untap.
No, yeah. If you take any of those cards in your hand and replace it with a tropical island, I think that game was very, very close, actually.
Yeah.
Actually, I guess I can show. If you're still in, I'll show.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I already.
Okay,
but you can tell your hand.
I had Force of Vigor and a green card, and then I had Ravenscry in hand, which isn't that useful. But the Force of Vigor helped a lot as far as like, okay, no matter what goes wrong, I do still have like some interaction for the Ink Moth because it does become.
Interesting that you bring in Force of Vigor. So you've probably bring it in against Sylvan Library, or is that incorrect?
Yeah, the main thing is that it hits Sylvan Library and the Ink Moth Nexus. And one of the recent changes I made was I took out the Wilt and put in the second Force of Vigor. I think I do kind of want to switch back to the Wilt again, just because there are a lot of situations like where it showed up in our games where you have like one good target and it's not really worth two for winning myself. Force of Vigor is just so good against the red prison decks, which can give me issues.
Yeah, relatable. Right, Jeff. That was an interesting game. That was definitely an interesting game. I love these games. Yeah, Wasteland was important, and what else? Of course, Plague Engineer was devastating for me. And on my side, if I have Sylvan Library, that's just so good because I can really take every single card that I want. Because you don't really win on life total. You just win by having control and me not being able to do anything anymore. That's how it feels. At least.
Exactly.
I want to hear you talk about this, Jeff, because it's the new Pokepile. How did you start brewing, and how did you end up on this list? And for people in the chat, I can see that there could be questions for Jeff about this build because it's a new Pokepile. So if you have any questions for Jeff, feel free to spam them. And now's the time to have Jeff here answering every question you may have.
Yeah. So. Kind of like we talked about, there were the bans back in February. Hit a lot of cards out of Pokepile. And so I knew I still wanted to play Uro and was trying to figure out how to make it work. And without Astrolabe, I think that Life from the Loam is a really good fit with Uro just because it helps you play through Wasteland, fills up your graveyard for Uro, and make sure you have the correct colors. And it works well with Wasteland as well.
Yeah.
So I liked all of that. And then it was kind of just like what to pair this with. And I decided to go with black instead of red, mainly because kind of without Oko around, Lightning Bolt is not a good enough removal spell for a control deck. It works in Delver because it can go face,
Yeah.
But there are creatures that have more than 3 toughness in this format. And so I wanted black removal to kill them, basically. And then from that, it was kind of like finding some things that worked well with the Loam engine. And I think Ravenscry was actually a really good fit where it's a card you can kind of like value mill into with Loam. And it's really good at like turning the lands into actual like resources and kind of depleting your opponent. And then also, it's really hard for any deck in Legacy to beat Uro when they're top decking. So like Ravenscry getting rid of their hand before Uro comes into play is like a really powerful combo. So it's been a really nice kind of thing to fill out the deck. And then other than that, kind of just like good bug cards. Liliana of the Veil is also just like a really good card with Loam because you're not discarding real cards from your hand, you're just discarding lands. To answer this question in chat, Field of the Dead. So it's close. I think that you kind of don't need it to win, and it's very slow. It's just like it doesn't really do anything like the first 6 turns of the game, and so I would rather just like play other cards. Mystic Sanctuary has kind of been that flex slot for me, which I like a lot better. Just like getting to rebuy removal or counter magic. Or like Brainstorm, once you've loamed a few times and your hand has like 4 or 5 lands in it, like rebuying Brainstorm is like really, really important to turn those into actual cards. So kind of Mystic Sanctuary is my flex slot for special land that helps win the game.
That makes sense. What about One of Stifle?
That's just a pocket pick. Like, I love Stifle.
You just can't get rid of it.
Yeah, I have tried builds without Stifle, and they just haven't worked as well for me. So I always just keep it kind of one of them around. I think in actuality, though, it does kind of help you in the early game to get you a little bit ahead because, like your card quality is so high, and so if you kind of just like get a tiny bit ahead of your opponent in mana, you can kind of leverage that pretty well. And also, the Stifle Arrow Trick is still a thing you sometimes do, and yes, it is very much a pet card.
Yeah, it has a lot of uses, although it's not the most amazing card. You will always find a fit for it, right?
Yeah, and then just real quick on some of the other singletons. Heartless Act is mainly a way to kill delve creatures. So like Gurmag Angler can give this deck some problems because it dodges push and decay. And then also the stupid whale like gives this deck so much problems because it just gains them so many cards, and it's just like you need like one way in your deck to kill it, and that's part of why I have Run Afoul on the sideboard. Like it's for Merit Lage, but really it's for that stupid whale.
I can understand.
Yeah.
You see the whale a lot now, but for me that's fine. It's too slow. So
yeah. I think it's nice that the rest of the metagame has kind of kept the card in check, where it doesn't line up well against Lightning Bolt and Swords to Plowshares, and so it's not quite as popular as it was like on February 16th, we'll say.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Great.
So, yeah.
Good
boy,
stuff.
does it give this deck a headache. Yeah.
Good stuff. What do you say we play another one?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that.
Nice. Maybe we should swap around who starts each time. I don't remember who started last time, though.
I won the die roll, so I will choose the draw if I win the coin flip again.
Okay, awesome. Let's see. I click the correct deck. So challenge you. Should be good. I had a lot of fun last game. I really like playing against control decks, even though they are usually bad matchups for Infect. I love playing them because there is a lot of... I'd rather lose to a control deck through a lot of interaction than losing to a turn 1 Blood Moon, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I can sympathize with that. And yeah, based on kind of like the sense I get from like your character in your stream, I think that one of the things you enjoy about Magic is like the interplay and like winding through the maze basically and coming out on the other side victorious. So I can definitely imagine from your point of view, like when you win against control, it feels very satisfying and like you played around a lot of cards.
Exactly. Even when Grixis control, and that was the tier 1 deck, even though that was a disgusting matchup for Infect, I do like playing against it. Even though I almost always lost, I still, if I did take down one of those games, I was always like, man, I really played everything correctly, and that was just so good. So this hand is honestly, it's just Sylvan Library. Is this good enough to keep? If I had like a Daze or a Spell Piss in here, I'd probably keep it. I can't keep this. I'm gonna mulligan. It's 4 lands, Vines, Agents, Library.
I think I'm going to join you. My cards are all good, but I don't have lands, and I have 1 land, but I don't have cantrips. So
yeah,
I think I'm at a mulligan.
Exactly. Okay, this is a keep.
Yeah, this is certainly better, so I will keep it.
Right, this is an easy starter. Let's just slam down this elf.
I like it.
Make you have Fatal Push. So that probably means you don't, otherwise you would have used it in your turn.
I think that's a good intuition because like you're not even representing Daze with the Savannah. So, I think you're right to not respect Fatal Push.
No. Sometimes you have to read these things. It does depend because there are ways where you go like next level, where you have the Fatal Push and you decide not to because then you're like, so he may be thinking that if I had it I would play it right now, but I don't. So that he does go for it, and then I go like then I one up him. It happens. Yeah. So I still have to respect it, but. It's funny because I even change my playstyles against how experienced my opponent is. This may be funny, but against newer players, I'm usually more skeptical of going all in after this analysis because newer players don't always know Infect because it's a deck that's not played that often, and you should never pick a battle against Infect during combat. But newer players sometimes do this. And so if I'm playing against a newer player, I'm usually a bit more not afraid but reluctant to go all in after this situation than if I'm playing against a good player, because they know not to fight Infect during combat. So it's sometimes I even adjust my play style based on a single player that I know. So it's funny.
I completely agree. There's definitely a lot of I guess I'll say leveling. I don't particularly like that word. I think it's a little outdated in terms of like your method of thinking about the game. But here it works well enough. So yeah, there's definitely things where it's like if you know how your opponent plays, like you can play in a way to exploit that.
Okay. So you didn't have Fatal Push last time. We would have definitely used it at the end of the turn. You may have it now because you pondered, but it's unlikely. So I'm just going to attack. Do nothing. And after combat, I'm going to play Teferi. Let's see if it sticks. I'm going to do this after combat because if I do this first, then you may in response destroy my elf because you can't do this later. So.
Yeah, because then you're not representing the protection spell either. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, got rid of a Force of Will.
Yeah, I kind of have to do that, otherwise it's
yeah, definitely.
It's not going to get used for sure. And so here I'll do a quick thing. So usually you have a choice for your third dual land where you could get Bayou, so you have 2 every color, or you could get the second Underground Sea, so that your Mystic Sanctuary is turned on now. Because my mana is not particularly under threat here, I like getting the Underground Sea. Okay, so I'm just gonna kill. I mean, you did miss a land drop, but I'm already at 4 Infect, so I think I'm just going to name the elf with this Plague Engineer. Because like I could try to kill the Noble and then like block the Glistener Elf. But if there's like a Berserk waiting in the wings, it's obviously very bad for me. So I think this is a little bit safer.
That could be dangerous. Okay, so I have agents. Let's pass.
So I'm gonna brainstorm. I'm looking for stuff to do. Yeah.
Another Plague Engineer. That would be fine too.
Of course, yeah. And I guess I'm not blocking, so.
Yeah, I'm not gonna block myself. Kilg47, thanks for the follow, man. Cheers, appreciate it. And for everyone watching, if you're enjoying this content and haven't done so, smash that follow button. You'll get notified whenever I go online. I promise you guys, I will be streaming back on schedule from now on. I have finally made it into my new home and I'm almost settled down. So I will be able to stream more, I promise, and have a good time. 3 streams this week, so in the future I will have my separate stream room and I can start streaming challenges, etc. So good stuff coming. But let's focus on this game first, shall we? You didn't try to kill Agent last turn. So to me that screams I have nothing, so we'll see. I think this is the right time to go for it.
Yeah. That is lethal, so I do have to counter this.
Respond. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Let's see if you have another one.
This does represent lethal, so I have to counter it.
You have a Flusterstorm. Well, okay. Well,
yeah. Yeah, and I'm thinking now maybe it's possible I should have named Human and just said like, oh, if you have Berserk, I can force that, and then Human cuts off Noble and Agent. So that looking back, you shouldn't try to be hindsight focused or oriented, but I think on further analysis, I think I might have messed up with my Plague Engineer for sure.
I don't think so. I think naming Elf was correct.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I think naming Elf was correct. You should do this. I mean, chances of me having another threat is lower than me having more than pump spells, and the only way this could come back to haunt you is if I had exactly Blighted or Ink Moth. So I think naming Elf was correct.
Yeah, it's possible. It's very close, but
it's close. That's true. It's close.
Yeah.
Let's quickly watch Yeah. Uh-oh.
All right, we got to redraw. We got to redraw.
Okay. I was like, well, another, and the well sounded like, well, I have Plague Engineer.
No. No.
Let's watch the chat. Lynn Chalice. As a control player, there's nothing more annoying than losing to a new Infect player who goes for the Infect Berserk kill with no backup turn 2, despising untapped Tundra. Yeah, what can I say? I'm definitely different than most Infect players. I play Infect very, very safely, and I always say that Infect is not a combo deck. And don't get me wrong, it can be. It's not like I'm always ignoring the combo or something like that. But I just play Infect a lot safer than most Infect players do. I try to squeeze in the perfect window, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes we have situations where I'm like, damn, I should have just gone for it last turn. It happens. But that's just my opinion. Hey Arkan, my stream is going fine. I'm finally back on schedule, being able to stream weekly at least twice again. So yeah, that's good stuff. So glad to have you here. Liliana. Okay.
Yeah, okay. It doesn't stop my stop your Infect guy, at least
exactly.
Not this guy, so.
I know it's coming, so this is actually interesting. So I'm just gonna say it right now. I have another agent on top. So the question is,
Point. That is interesting.
yeah, do I want to? So, yeah, I think I just want to get rid of Noble, because if you draw removal, and I've got rid of the agent, I'm gonna feel horrible.
Yeah, I think from your point of view, even knowing the next card, I like that as well.
Exactly.
You know, you just get to kill Lily this turn, no questions asked. And then you have 2 threats that I have to deal with. So.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's just play the agent. So interesting thing here, I could just attack with agent on you, but for people watching, if I attack with 1 agent on Jeff, that does not change my clock, because I'm going to win in 2 turns, regardless of whether I attack Lily or Jeff right now. So it's better to get rid of Lily.
Yeah, I completely agree, just because next turn it ticks up, and then you have to either deal with it or...
Exactly. You will still be dead in 2 turns, so that's
yeah, exactly
it. By the way, Arkan, haven't thank you yet. Thanks for the host. So welcome everyone for the stream. Welcome to the Legacy Masters series. Today I have Jeff White with me, the creator of Pokepile, and we are playing the new Pokepile. If you have any questions for either me or Jeff, best to ask me questions about Infect and Jeff about Pokepile, but if you want, we can swap these things around. Maybe that's funny. Maybe we should try and do this, Jeff. What do you think? I'm going to answer the questions about Pokepile, and you answer about Infect. What do you think? But then afterwards, it's better if the expert probably answers them too.
Yeah, and so and I ponder here. I did have a removal spell. But I think it's better to get library down this turn and then hope it draws into something good. Obviously, Sam could have killed me last turn if he had the pump spell off the brainstorm, and then this is a random draw. I guess the one thing is that now it's like a 2 or 1.5 turn clock, we'll say, where like I'm forced into removing one of the attacking creatures. Whereas, but then it doesn't actually affect anything. I would still be dead to a pump spell if I swap the order, so I think it's just better to get down the library.
Do you remember last turn, Jeff? I talked about it's better to attack Lily here. Because you're going to be dead in 2 turns. So it doesn't change the clock, right?
Yeah.
So I had literally the only card in which that case was not true. So,
oh my!
Yeah. This is so stupid. I still stand by my choice of last turn, but it's funny that I do draw the one card where it's not true.
Yeah. So sometimes one thing I do think that will help you become a better Magic player when you're thinking about 2 different lines is thinking, what's the punish for, the decision I took, and also I messed up here. I should have done this in upkeep. But yeah, where it's like, because most of the time, if you're choosing between 2 different lines, they end up being the same, regardless of like what you draw. So it's important to think about, you know, like what actual draws would like hurt you taking line A is, you know, compared
And
to
I
line
always
B.
like statistics. Statistically, it was
Yeah.
better for me to not do this, and so I'm gonna I can just tell you now what I draw. What I drew. I drew Berserk, so you're still dead.
Oh,
But
sure.
I drew
Okay.
Berserk, and then I did exactly 3. So that was the only card, and I guess Pendelhaven too,
That's
where that was the
interesting.
correct
Yeah.
thing. But the cards that
Okay.
I could have drawn, there were so many cards that wouldn't kill you that it was better to do this, even though I
Yeah.
draw the one off where it was not the case. I also had this one too, so I'm just gonna
Oh,
do
yeah,
this
for
because
sure.
I can.
Yeah, no, and that makes sense because it's like I have not been playing into Days for a very long time, and
Mhm.
so you've had plenty of time to draw it.
Let's just. I'm just
Oh,
gonna
for
do this
sure,
because I
yeah.
can.
Do you know what like the highest infect number you've had ever was?
Oh,
'Cause 20
actually,
seems
I
a lot.
do. Actually, I do. And the funny thing is, the most damage I ever did was not even infect. It was, it was regular damage. I once attacked. Yeah, I once attacked through a Merit Lage token with a Noble Hierarch who had, if I can remember correctly, 128, and then I think 32, something like that. And I literally had a hand filled with pump spells. I think I started with a Scale Up, become Immense, and it was like a couple of Berserk, a couple of Invigorates, and then double Berserk. It was something in that, something in that order. That was pretty
That's
funny.
pretty incredible.
Yeah. And I mean, I could have done that like 2 turns earlier, but I knew it was coming, and it was a league, so it wasn't very important. I was like, yeah, I just want to see how much how much I can get. And
That's actually pretty cool.
that was
I'm gonna be
pretty
honest,
that was
yeah.
pretty funny. So I was pretty happy with last time getting the double Uro, double Veil.
Yeah, I think I like how I boarded too. Just bring the removal, cut the forces.
So I'm gonna do the same, and now
I
I'm
leave
gonna
in
let
like
you
1 to 2
talk.
forces, but yeah.
Now I'm gonna let you talk because I talked about my side bunny last time. So
Oh yeah, I was gonna say like I leave in like 1 to 2 forces just as
Force of Will, right?
yeah, force of will, yeah,
Mhm.
just as like some emergency basically removal.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in general you have enough interaction where that's not the kind of card you want too many copies of.
Yeah.
And then I just bring in some removal. Oh, that's right. I was trimming 1 Uro because it's really only good against Moth Nexus.
So out with Force, in with Uro, and then what do you bring in?
So yeah, I bring in like the Murderous Cut, the Lily Hope. I bring in the Carpet because I talked about you just want to play your spells on main 1 and then build up interaction, and then EE, and then I do bring in the Relic for the arrows, and it has a cycling floor, so it's fine. And then I bring in the Force of Vigor as well because it can kill Inkmoth Nexus and Sylvan Library. Getting Library is important for sure.
You think another Flusterstorm or Leovold would be worth it?
Fluster is close because like oftentimes it's like really what it's awful against is Noble Hierarch because it's just like you attack, you have all your mana up. Invigorate is a free spell, and it's very rare that Fluster counters something relevant. It's more often that you can exactly pay for it and then I die. At least that's been my experience. So I don't like Flusterstorm that much, to be honest.
No, it makes sense. I was just wondering. I think
Yeah,
playing
yeah,
one
for
is
sure.
fine. I think playing one is fine.
Yeah, that's my stance on it for sure.
That's why I still play 1 days because again I said it before. You don't want to cut all of the daisies because then your opponent knows it's always safe to not play around it. But if you play 1 or 2 still, they can't really not respect it, but they only can't over-respect it. And that's what a position that I love playing the mind games. That's basically it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the same logic applies for Flusterstorm, where it's not great because the games go long.
That's true.
Yeah, but then if you get rid of all of them, it can be harder or easier for the opponent to play.
Good turn 1 here.
Yeah.
Let's
Well,
see.
actually, I had one question about the last game, real quick.
Yeah, sure.
And that was, so you led with Glistener Elf, and then you played Noble. Was that like a choice you made in your opening hand, or was Noble just like a card you drew into afterwards?
And that's actually a good question. I had another Blooded Agent in hand. If I didn't have the Blooded Agent, I would not have started with Elf, because then I would want to bait out removal. But because I had the Elf, I kind of wanted you to get rid of Elf if you had a Fatal Push, and then I could play the Noble. And I also had Teferi in hand, so the idea was if you do kill Elf, then I'll probably follow with Agent, because then the chances of you having another removal
Mhm.
are pretty low. If you don't, then I start off with Noble, so then hopefully I do get to draw a land, and then I can play Teferi with protection. Didn't find the land, but that was the setup.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. That's really good logic.
I have options. I can play this or this. I think I want to start off with, that's just always good. Start off with a brainstorm. Ooh, that is not a good. Damn. Okay, sure. I can still play this one, so it's not the end of the world. I have a question. Let's see. Frozen Sun, are you playing as if you have open deck lists, or should you have Berserk before become ends to play around potential Dismember? We are playing as if we have open deck lists. So Jeff knows my list, I know his. Yeah. And we are playing as if we know what we are playing against. Okay.
You know, it's funny, and I guess this is our 5th game now, and Light from the Loam has not come into play yet, nor has Raven's Crime, which is...
No, exactly.
It just feels like you're playing against bug control at this point.
Yeah, it does. And I do like playing against bug control. I think that's not that bad of a matchup as...
Yeah, and it's certainly very interactive.
And I think now is the time to play this one, because if you have Force Will, that means you go down to 1 card if you use it. So I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's really close for me, actually. I do actually have the Force of Will, so now I'm thinking about using it. And I guess the issue is, like, you could have another Daze, but you know, if I assume, you know, we'll say, you know, good Infect players trim on Daze. You know, that this can be a heuristic I'm working with, and this can help you kind of pull out I actually think I'm gonna try and force this.
Nice. Okay, and this
even though
was actually...
Ponder's really good here,
true.
which is why I didn't want to do such a thing, but.
This was a little bit of a bait by me, and maybe some people are wondering, why do you Daze Ponder if you then next turn play Sylvan Library? I can't maybe say too much, but
I don't want you to reveal too much about your hand. But
yeah, exactly. So what I'm going to say is, the way my hand is set up, I'm actually baiting out Force Will. That's as much as I can say. So I'm happy with this exchange because Jeff now has... He got rid of all of his cantrips. He only has 1 card. So I'm happy with this exchange. Hey Nathan, welcome.
Yeah. So I have double green, double black. Just trying to figure out what's more useful to have a 3rd color of. I think it's probably black. I have the lilies as double black spells, and yeah. All right, let's just go like this. I can still escape arrow. Yeah, and kind of the deciding factor for me on the force pitching the Ponder was that I knew the fetch time was my last card in hand, so no matter what happens, I can fetch and escape Uro, whereas if that wasn't guaranteed, I might have wanted to like use the Ponder as an extra way to you know, fill up my graveyard.
Makes sense.
And then this wasteland was a god tier draw, given that you're trapped on mana.
Yeah, that was indeed a good one. Yeah, I think I just have to start off with a brainstorm, and if I fail to find the land here, then I'm just... yeah, fuck. I'm just so unlucky now. Okay, damn. That's probably game. Okay, let's just put them back like this. And how can I still come back from this? I don't know.
Will certainly be hard, is my
definitely
assumption.
Once Uru gets going.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That's. I'm just gonna concede. I'm just gonna show you my hand. It was actually bonkers. It really.
Okay.
It was so good. If you, that wasteland, that was just disgusting.
Yeah, wasteland's so good. Yeah.
So the reason why I dazed, I didn't daze or didn't keep the daze. I dazed Ponder and then slammed down library is because I wanted to bait out all your cards from your hand, and then you had 1 card left, and I was like, it doesn't really matter what you have. I could play Elf or Agent depending on what you had, and then I could protect it. If it dies, I play another agent or elf. So I was just going to play a threat turn after turn, and if I was able to go for it, then I would just win. That was the idea.
Yeah, no, I really like that idea, and I think that general strategy is a really important lesson for people. Is that like, if you have the option to like trade down, 3 cards each, if you think that your leftovers are enough to win, that's usually a really good like thing to do. That comes up a lot against Delver when you're deciding like, should I play around days or into days, and you decide like, well, if we just go down 3 cards each in our hands, I think my leftovers can win the game. Then you're like, oh, okay, I should play into days here. So I do like that logic a lot, and given your hand, I think it was probably correct. And
yeah,
like,
but unfortunately, the Wasteland, that was like, yeah, what you're gonna
but
try
then
and do is just not gonna work.
Clutch there for sure.
That was disgusting.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome everyone to the chat. A lot of people here. Also, thanks to Arkan. So thanks again, Arkan, for showing up with so many people. That's always lovely. If you have any question for me or for Jeff, spam in the chat. We're always happy to answer them for you. And if you're enjoying this content, don't forget to click follow. Or if you want to help me out even more, you can consider to subscribe to ensure that I continue to make and improve this content. But of course, no obligations whatsoever. We had a lot of interesting games so far, I think.
These games have been interesting. They've been very swingy for sure.
Yeah.
And a lot of interesting decision spots.
Should be noted that I have created this list specifically to deal with control decks because I don't follow the reasoning behind, or what I know a lot of players do. They just have a deck for Magic Online and they have a deck for real life. I don't do this. I have one deck. And for me personally, I prefer playing paper Magic. So what I do is I play the deck that I want to play in paper on Magic Online, even though that's not the best choice. And I know that in real life, people always play Control. That's how it feels to me in Europe, at least. There are so many people playing Control in real life. And that's why I play double Teferi, double Sylvan Library to deal with these decks in the main. I think that's a good choice if you want to try and have a shot against Control decks.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I think the more I get removed from paper play just due to COVID, the less I'm like, oh, I have to, only play with cards I own in real life, et cetera, et cetera. But I still feel like I keep my online collection and like decks I play pretty close to my paper collection, so I'm very similar.
Yeah. For me, of course, I always play Infect, so there's not a lot that changes in Infect. The most recent purchases I had to do was buy Uro. It was expensive though, but I bought them when they were still very expensive.
Yeah, I think I got mine when it came out in Theros because I was playing in a standard event later that month, and I needed them. The paper prices held pretty steady. It's the online price that rose and then tanked, and I definitely lost a few ticks there for sure.
Yeah, the online prices, they're so wild. I mean, like Hull Breach here. I was going to try that in Infect, but then I was like, for that price, no way, dude.
If you ever want to borrow one, I have a few, obviously. That
okay, that's good to know. Maybe I want to try one of in a sideboard. I doubt it will be worth it, honestly, but I mean, you know me, I always try new stuff, so.
Of course, yeah. Alright, so this hand for me, it's really cool. Well, it only has 1 land and it has cantrips, but and it doesn't have like removal spells, so it feels like what's likely to happen is I spend like the first 2 or 3 turns just getting my mana set up, but then I don't have anything in hand to protect myself.
That's not a plan against Infect.
Yeah, exactly. Not a good.
You could like maybe do that against Delver, but not against Infect.
Yeah, maybe against Delver. That's a good point.
I
probably would have kept that hand against Delver.
I'm just gonna play Best Elf in Legacy.
It's a bold statement. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Mr. Fat Pickle says, I just bought Great Sable Stags and then you got rid of them again. Yeah, Great Sable Stag's my pet card, but I only play it when it's good, and after the bannings I thought, okay, Grixis Control is the best deck in the format again, but that just wasn't the case, and that's why I cut them again. I think Uro is it's going to be Stag or Uro in that spot, but if the field is more diverse, then I think I'd rather play Uro. Okay, not the best brainstorm. Let's just play Noble and pass. And by not the best, I mean horrible.
Well, no, how bad can Noble be? Let's be real.
Yeah, Noble beatdown. Let's go. Who's gonna slam in?
Noble beats.
It's a 2/3 each turn. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, damage adds up. I'm not gonna pretend it doesn't.
If I have become a men's berserk, you could be dead.
Exactly. I mean, like that's actually fairly legitimate, and I think it will influence what I play this turn, which is going to be
Plague Engineer.
Uro. No,
Okay.
no.
If you had Plague Engineer, that was like, ugh. I hate
I
that
think
card,
it's
man.
had my life total a bit.
Yeah.
And Uro's one of those cards where if it gets dazed, you're never like too upset about that. So,
I usually don't even bother.
yeah. Although I think in Delver players don't daze the first side of Uro often enough. Just because it's gonna put a land into play. They're gonna probably try and escape the second half around daze, and the 3 life is important. Obviously, in fact, the 3 life is not as important.
Exactly, that's why I don't bother. I think Delver players should value the land plus 3 life is for them more difficult than it is for me.
Yeah, and so I have a Leovold in hand, but you haven't been cantripping, so it feels like you aren't likely to have one. So I'm just going to play this Lily and force you to act. Either use a pump spell or let a noble die or force will it,
I'm gonna draw.
Or Cycle Veil, that works as well.
Okay. It's not a good cycle, but at least no noble will die because you can't target him anymore.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, I'm fine with this.
And now I have an option. I could minus, bring back Uro, and let Lily die, like, guaranteed, or I could plus on nothing, and then, like, if you want to kill Lily, you likely have to waste a pump spell. I think that's a little bit better. And then I am going to waste a Tropical College.
Okay, that's fine. Come on, brainstorm. My draws, man. I feel like I'm just doing nothing this game. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm just not doing anything, so I might as well just get rid of Lily.
Yeah, and this is I don't know if you have heard of and or played the board game called Go.
Yeah, it's like I haven't played it, but it's like the one where you have like I don't know how to explain this, but it's like one of those games which was recently broken by AI. Is that not the one?
Yes,
yeah,
this is
exactly.
True. Yeah, so I played that a lot in high school. And there's a term in Go, it's called Joseki. But basically what it means is a sequence that's like even for both sides. And so I think that you spending the removal spell to kill Liliana is Joseki there, where it's like, it's good for you, and even if I know about it, it's like I still play like the way I would play, in a sense. So I don't know, maybe a bit of long-winded, but I'm saying like what just happened was good for both sides, even though we kind of both knew it would happen, where it's like, I knew you would waste a pump spell, you knew you'd waste a pump spell, but we were both happy with that result.
I wouldn't say I was happy, but
sure,
I think I had to.
But it's an even result. Yeah, it happens a lot in like Storm versus Delver, where like the Storm player will like discard spell the Delver player on turn 1 and see a daze, and then later in the game they will still play like a cantrip into the daze.
Okay, finally some cards that I want. So let's think. I'm only going to draw them next turn, keep that in mind, because I have Leovold. So this is just putting them in a certain order. So which card do I want next turn? My guess is that Uro is going to come down. So this is going to get out of hand pretty quickly. I think we're going to put him like this. There you go. Again, not draw because of Leovold. But that's why I wouldn't play a Brainstorm here, of course, but you can play Ponder. You're just not gonna draw.
I agree.
Okay, pass. It's still not looking good for me, but at least I have. If I get lucky, then I have some way of maybe stealing this game. Vic218, thanks for the follow, man. Cheers, appreciate it. Hope to see you in the next stream as well.
So I'm just doing some graveyard math real quick, where I think I want to not take the full number of cards with this loam, just so that I can leave better cards in the graveyard. Yeah, so I'm only gonna. So this is something that happens somewhat frequently. Oh, actually, wait, no. I'm fetching first, so I take that back. But sometimes what you will do is you will not take all 3 lands out for loam just because you want some more cards in the graveyard. In this case, I will have just enough where I can escape Uro and still leave Murderous Cut in my graveyard. So that's what I'm going to do. Although actually, what I am realizing now is that I mistapped, where if I had left up a double chop, what I could have done is fetch Mystic Sanctuary, put Cut on top of my library, and then drawn it this turn, and then put in a fetch land into play to get black mana.
Luckily, I don't have an Infect threat just yet, so it probably won't
matter. It's not urgent, but it was still, I think, a misstep on my part. So it's something that I would like to note for the chat. For sure.
Always good to quickly realize where you maybe made a small mistake.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, yeah, I'm in trouble. I already was in trouble, but...
Yeah.
And you can see that I do not bring in Graveyard Hate against this deck, because it's usually not worth it. If I start losing because of stuff coming back from the graveyard, I'll probably already have lost. And that's not always the case against different decks, but against this one, I think that is true. Okay.
Yeah, I agree with that analysis where like if you're bringing in Surgical, like Uro and Loam have already gotten value at the point where you can Surgical them.
It's not like I'm playing against Loam, where you do need it because the entire deck functions that way. But this deck, even if imagine I play Rest in Peace and you play Plague Engineer, okay, well, good job. I mean, what does it matter?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now because you have the threat, I am going to put Murderous Cut on top of my library. And I think I want to present 2-turn lethal, so I think it's worth attacking with both things. You know, can't block anyway. I know there's the Trop, and then there's 2 unknowns. So I'm going to
Strix. Okay.
Yeah.
So how can I steal this game? I want to quickly point out to the chat that I cast Agent off of Double Noble, and I do not respond to Wasteland on Misty Rainforest. That was not a mistake. It's clear that I want a card that's on top. Jeff has probably noticed that all.
Yeah, at this point it's pretty clear. I was gonna do this anyway, and like if Sam had fetched, I would have Wastelanded the land he got, unless it was Basic Forest, obviously. But basically, the game is gonna come down to what happens on the next turn, and so it's worth it for me to use quote unquote 2 wastelands to get rid of 1 mana source, because nothing matters past the next turn in my book. It's likely to either be he wins there or the game ends.
I think now I do have to fetch as much as I want the card on top.
And then because we still know about the Trop, it's really good for me. It means that I likely can't die this turn unless I like spew the Murderous Cut. I can still die next turn. There's going to be chump blocks happening. It's not, the game's not over.
And I'm playing. Yeah, I'm playing definitely to steal out a win here, but I have to try. I have a route where I can win. Again, it's unlikely, but I have to try.
Yeah. So here I'm gonna brainstorm. So brainstorm with Loam is like difficult to do optimally, and I don't know if I'm doing it perfectly. But usually, what I'll like to do, if I have another draw source in hand, is that I will just draw my first 3 cards, and then put 2 bad cards back, and then cast the second cantrip and Dredge Loam to kind of clear them. In this case, yeah, and I think it's fine here as well. So this is what I'm gonna do.
So I'm probably gonna have to do some chump blocking here.
And I think it's worth attacking with everything so that the extra life points might matter in the sense that there might be some like fetching that Sam can't do later on in the game.
Just gonna block the Uro. Gonna take 4, which means I can still fetch.
Yeah,
if I want
and
to.
This is actually a very important breakpoint for me, just because with only 1 Hierarch, I would go to 5 Infect on no blocks, and so a 4 damage pump spell doesn't turn into lethal.
Fortunately, I don't have a choice. I have to do this.
Yeah. And here again, just gonna do my best to cut the mana down, and then I'll pass the turn.
Right. So I just need a good top deck here.
Yep. Usually what it comes down to.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good top deck. Yeah. Let's see.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm gonna go for it. Let's see if I can steal out a win.
And so luckily 9 isn't 10, so I am not forced to respond to this. So if the last 2 cards, or actually, well, I have this Abrupt Decay, so I should be able to close it out through 2 removal spells, or 2 pump spells rather.
I only have spell PS left, so that was not good enough.
Ooh,
I needed you to mess up, and by invigorating,
like if I it all for murderous. Yeah, that'd be a rough one.
Exactly. Yeah. And you can see we talked about me blocking with Noble is important, because if the game could be different the way if I still had that Noble, I invigorate, that's lethal, which means you have to respond. Then I can bind, and then I still have spell PS up. So yeah, pretty interesting. Even again, despite me losing here, I still think it was an interesting game, and this is why I always say play until the end, because I could potentially have stolen this win if Jeff, like in response to the invigorate, used Abrupt Decay or something like that. It happens.
Yeah, that was definitely a very close one. Definitely got a little bit fortunate there to peel the decay for sure. But that definitely is also one of the pluses of the deck, is that I got to fill my hand up with like extra lands, and then is that game 3?
Yeah, I think it is. I think I won game 1.
I forgot game 2. It's gone from my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to fill my hands up with lands and then brainstorm turn them into real spells, and then I put 2 lands back and then Dredge Loam to clear the bad cards off the top of my deck. So there's a lot of fun little sequencing tricks. If you enjoy that sort of thing about like Magic, where like optimizing every turn and having a bunch of little decisions to make, I think that Loam and like a fair strategy is really fun for that aspect.
I agree. These games have been so fun, man. I really love this new Pokepile build. It's great. I don't see new question from the chat, so I don't know how many time you have, Jeff. But I think, let's see, it's 20. It's 20 after 10 where I live, so I have time to play one more if you're up for it.
All right, yeah, I can play one more, and then
One
I'll have to head out.
That's fine. That would be. Let's see if I can just kill you very quickly, and then it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't had any explosive hands just yet.
Yeah, exactly.
But
even
I do
in
cut
that
berserks,
last game there,
so
I
that's
pushed
maybe
on
on
turn
me.
1.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you just had like days plus a quick kill, I was curtains for me for sure.
People, when they think about Infect, they sometimes think like, oh yeah, that's the deck that goes Invigorate Berserk. But let me tell you, it doesn't happen all that often.
Yeah, I've definitely watched your stream enough to know that those games are the exception for sure.
Yeah, that's true. This hand is interesting. It's not great, but is it? This is one of those hands where do I want to mulligan this? It's close, but I'm.
I think you shouldn't just because you've been mulliganing a lot. So you have to embrace my strategy of keeping every hand.
You know what? I'm gonna agree with you. I'm just gonna keep. Let's keep every single hand we have.
I dig it. This hand, I think, is good from my side, but interesting on how do I want to sequence, and obviously a lot depends on what you do.
Okay, so this is just
putting no pressure on my answer is clear. It is time for crime. So we're gonna Raven's Crime, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, sure. Just gonna go to this land.
Yeah. And then Raven's Crime, I think one tip that will help players play Pokepile is like, pay attention to what your opponent's discarding. It can tell you a lot about what's in their hand. So, it's almost certain that, Sam has 1, maybe 2 more lands left. And so that's something to think about. Whereas if you had discarded, say, like a cantrip or a pump spell, usually what they discard, especially on turn 1.
If I would discard a pump spell on turn 1, then you would be dead. Because that signals, doesn't matter. I have more than enough in my hand, so who cares? That would be scary.
Yeah, so now I'm thinking if I want to do anything special.
Violent says he loves the uptick of Raven's Crime. Is there an uptick? I haven't noticed it just. But in all honesty, I haven't played any leagues in like a week or 2 or 3.
Has it really? So. Yeah, I haven't kept track of Raven's Crime prices. I'm gonna be honest with you. The first modern deck my brother built was 8-rack, and so he had the crimes for me to borrow, just like sitting around from like years and years ago. So I thought that was kind of cute.
Nice. Okay. Let's play another threat.
Yeah, now I have a very difficult decision where I could tap out for a threat, or I could hold up mana for removal. I haven't played into days yet this game, so it's that much more likely that my opponent has it. I think I'm gonna pass the turn and hold up interaction. I think that's the best line.
Okay, I'm gonna start off with a brainstorm. Always good.
Yeah, always good.
I think I'm gonna put him like. Put him like this. That was an interesting brainstorm. Not the best one, but interesting. Let's just slam in.
So I think I just want to make sure I use my mana this turn. Hopefully get a threat out the way. That's good for me, obviously.
No response by me. I just want to play it safe, play it slow.
Yeah, and then I just drew this Ponder. I still don't necessarily want to play a 3-drop into these, so I think. Yeah, I think I just let that go. I've also been representing Spell Pierce, which is certainly a card that you could have. Although I think I don't mind running Library into Spell Pierce as much. Like again, this is like Joseki, where it's like I'm fine using my mana and trading this 1 for 1, just because I know that the cards in my hand are still valuable, but
Okay.
I don't want to get out-tempoed.
This is what I was hoping for, because now
Yeah, it's good for both players. Yeah, or it's reasonable for both sides. I should say.
exactly. So I can play easy mode now. Let's see if easy mode resolves.
Yeah, fine.
Fine, he says. Okay. So I'm just gonna draw.
That seems reasonable.
Just want to get a card. So probably the only thing I'm afraid of now is abrupt decay. Liliana. Yeah, I have to get rid of that one.
All right. You have some more Joseki.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, and it feels good from my point of view to see the dates being pitched, so I felt good to have played around it earlier.
Huh. That's a good brainstorm. How do I want to navigate this? I think it's best if I just put them like this plus pass.
Ooh, plus pass. I'm gonna try this one.
Yeah, that resolves.
It's gonna be awkward where the turn this comes back, I think it is the turn that you can just bounce with Teferi.
Yeah, exactly. So there could be
again, just
maybe there could be a reason for you to not play it then, but that's unlikely.
I think not. I think it's probably just better to get the. I mean, if I want to use my mana for something different that turn,
You
that's one thing.
didn't play a land, right?
Correct. I did not. No.
Okay, good for me to notice.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna
All
play.
good cards here.
Play agents. And now, I doubt you will try to go for Uro. If you do, that really signals that you are.
Yeah, I'd be
you're lacking.
super. No cards in hand if that's what I was doing. But this was a good draw. I will be honest.
So you target Verdant, Polluted, and Verdant. So that means you can play a 3-drop, potentially Plague Engineer, this being the scariest one. Okay, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Well, not with you playing Plague Engineer, but but taking these cards back.
Oh, and I can just play it. Okay, sure.
You can cast it.
Alright, so now I'm gonna, I think, start shredding the hand.
This is a difficult one for me. Have you played a land?
I have not played a land yet. No.
Not played a land. So then I think I'm going to discard that one.
Yes, yeah, that seems really smart. And here, I think here my hand is largely, here my hand is largely forced. I'm just figuring out what land to fetch, because of the Teferi, and there is this. Wow, I've been saying the name correctly the whole stream. Hopefully you just cast it, and then I don't have to remember the name anymore.
Divine.
Yeah, Vines. Thank you.
Okay.
So this plays into Vines, obviously, which has been held up, but I think it's better to get it out of the hand now versus when it could be potentially kicked.
Yeah, you're dead.
Yeah,
so
unfortunately.
This is why I navigated it the way I did, and I said it was a very interesting brainstorm, a very good brainstorm. So I had the option. So with the brainstorm, I drew Invigorate, Berserk, and then in my hand I had Blighted Agent, Vines, Days, and I knew what I wanted to do is I knew that there was going to be a turn where you had a lot of stuff going on. So I wanted to not play Agent that turn because I absolutely wanted to have the situation where I could play both Agent, have Vines Protection, and have Days. So I put Berserk and Invigorate back on top because I was going to draw those and I didn't need them. So I think that was definitely the best way to put them on top.
Yeah, I agree. And I think from my point of view, I think I still played as best I could, because I could have retraced Ravenscrown again, but it loses to the same set of cards.
Yeah, exactly. Because then I would have discarded Vines because I know that you don't have any black left, so you can't get rid of the agent. So
yeah, if I had one more land in hand, I could have retraced Ravenscrown 3 times, and obviously that would be the play.
And then it starts getting really good.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still, I think given the cards in hand, I think that was the way to run it.
Maybe I should think about, do I want to sideboard differently? I honestly don't think so. I'm cutting Daisies and Berserks right now, and I think that is the correct thing to do. Berserk did show to be good now, but I don't need the trample.
Any pump spell there
exactly,
too,
any pump spell would have been as good. So I against this deck, I don't think I want to trample, which is the main reason why you play Berserk. So I think I'm just gonna cut it again.
Yeah, and I guess one thing I'll say about my sideboarding that I've been doing but didn't say out loud is I've been cutting the Jace just because it's kind of a slow card that like forces you to tap out late in the game, and you just have other ways to grind out card advantage that are a little bit safer.
Yeah, that's what most people do against Infect. Cut Jace if they play it. And I do think that's correct. It's like win more against me.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Great game so far, Jeff. I've been enjoying these.
Those were really good games. Yeah, for sure. I completely agree.
Yeah, win or lose too. It's not like I'm only enjoying the games that I win.
Yeah. I especially like these where we can talk about our lines a lot, and then I'm in the same boat where it's just like, when I lose, I feel like I'm learning things and getting stuff out of it.
That's always important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, guys, if with this. Sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna leave with this. I think it's better than playing untapped land.
Makes sense. So I know you only pay one, so at least you can't bring something back.
Yeah. I'll have to like jump through some hoops of like wastelanding it or something of that
exactly.
nature.
You never know. We've done some weird stuff before in Legacy, so.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely done stuff like that to deck slower and/or reset certain cards that I really wanted.
I just remember one hilarious situation. I once against a Storm player, so I had these were the cards in my hand. I had one Tropical in play, no lands in my hand. I had a Daze, I had a Surgical, and then I had Sylvan Library, and then nothing else. Nothing of importance. I had more cards, but nothing which I could usefully use. So what I did is I tapped mana. I Surgicaled a card in my own graveyard because he didn't have any in his. So I Dazed that one. And then I replayed the Tropical to then cast Sylvan Library. That was one of the most weird things I ever did, but it ended up winning me the game, and that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, finding those weird lines and then them translating into victories always feels really, really good.
Yeah, that always feels amazing. But let's brainstorm.
Yeah.
So this is why on the draw you start with Noble, because then if they kill the Noble, you still can play your threat, so that's fine.
Yeah. I agree
Probably means you have another one. Otherwise you wouldn't have used Fatal Push. I don't know. Maybe you. I don't know. We'll see.
Usually what it means is that I'm planning to tap out on a future turn, and so I want to be mana efficient, which is the case here.
I'll take Leovold. That's not the end of the world.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, let's follow up with an agent. So I guess Leovold.
Interesting, no attack there. It signifies to me that either you don't have Invigorate or you're not willing to blow it on a lowly little Leovold when you could just put it on the Bladed Agent later.
I didn't play Berserks anymore, so.
Or sorry, Invigorate. I apologize. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh no, you said Invigorates, but I was like, I was saying you're right because.
But you can still make your Alpha 5/5 and eat my Leovold in combat.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, and so it means you probably, if you had that, you certainly don't have cantrips because otherwise that would be a reasonable proposition. Okay. Well.
Long
Difficult.
brainstorm.
Yeah. Sorry. I was figuring
No,
out
you don't
how
have to
I wanna-
apologize, but that usually means that there are a lot of good cards in there, so yeah.
There are some good cards for sure. Okay, yeah, we're just gonna do this.
This is an interesting one because
Yeah, right.
if you make me sacrifice, I just get rid of elf. And if I discard, I have more cards than you. So yeah, I'm gonna say this is fine.
Yeah, and I think just because Leovold is checking the elf, I am actually just gonna start with a plus. And then we'll see if maybe on future turns I can find like a removal spell and get both creatures, or again trade it with a pump spell. I'm okay with that.
Getting rid of the surgical here.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's a funny draw. You're tapped out, so I think
I am tapped out.
it's just time to get in some infect damage. And now the only thing I have to do next turn is be able to attack. That's it. So that's what I'm going to try and do. 2 cards in just hand too, so yeah, it's just me trying to untap. That's it.
Oh no.
Plague Engineer.
Foolish decision on my part. So I think it was worth judging here just because one of my last cards in hand is this is a brainstorm that I'm going to cast. So I want like the extra cards in hand. But maybe it doesn't matter as much as taking a draw step. And unfortunately, I drew into 3 lands with this brainstorm, so I'm very, very dead. Which is fine. It happens. I could have considered forcing like one of the invigorates.
Oh, you had a force will.
That's close.
Okay. Yeah.
But then you're like empty-handed. Okay, yeah. So I think in the end it probably would not have mattered because of the force of will.
No, exactly.
So,
I think that's a situation that I like to do, where if I play double invigorate, so you're not dead yet. So I can understand why I wouldn't force, but that's something that I can abuse as well, because I know that people play like this, and I'm not saying it's incorrect, but if I know how the game will go, I know that usually decks like yours or control decks, they don't counter stuff unless they're dead. But I don't have to kill you straight away. If I just attack for 1 the turn afterwards, that's fine. And then I don't have to start with engaging, and then I just attack, and yeah, sure, what do you have for me? And then I can just play with this force, and then it's often good enough.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely like the way that you sequence those turns. I think from my point of view, I kind of just need the brainstorm too badly to find something.
Yeah.
Although I get it's unclear if I should have judged Lom and gotten the extra cards. I think that's worth it. Just because I have enough mana to cast any removal spells I find, and I think I just do need to put 3 cards into my hand and then hit well with the brainstorm.
Yeah, I don't think it was incorrect what you did. It made a lot of sense. But if then the brainstorm was bad, it was just sometimes it just doesn't happen the way you want it to. So it's variance, I guess. Variance.
Yeah, part of the game.
Exactly.
But still, very very good games, very fun.
Exactly. Likewise.
A lot of decisions on both sides.
Exactly. Amazing games. A lot of fun. Let's see, guys. I'm slowly going to turn off the stream right now. So if you have any questions for us, now is the time to ask them. Don't forget, if you have enjoyed this content, smash follow. You will get notified whenever I go online. And if you want to help me out, to consider subscribing, because it helps a ton. No obligations, but it does make sure that I continue to make and improve this content. On Wednesday, I will have Orim67, aka Patrick Schuster, if I pronounce that somewhat correctly, I hope, on stream. And he will be playing Sneak and Show. So that's a definitely interesting matchup. Usually favored for Infect. We'll see how it goes in the current meta. I want to thank Jeff again for being here, Pokemoki on Pokepile, for being my guest. Thank you, Jeff. And maybe you can tell us where we can find you, or anything else you want to add.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure. If you want to follow me and kind of see what I'm up to in Legacy, you can go to my Twitter, which I will post in the chat. Oh no. I need to ask a moderator.
Oh yeah, sorry. I've done it automatically, but if you quickly type them to me in Discord, I'm just gonna copy them because I can.
Sure. But yeah, it's twitter.com/realpokemoki. You know, none of those fake Pokemokis. You don't want to follow an imposter. But yeah. Yeah, thanks again. Really fun, and I hope that the audience learned some things.
Nice. And I will be back on Wednesday, so I hope to see you all there. Bye-bye, guys. That was it for today. Cheers, good evening or good afternoon, and see you Wednesday. Cheers, bye.